Hello, good afternoon all. I'm Dr. Minalo. Welcome
Good
you all
afternoon.
heartily. Good afternoon, very good afternoon. I welcome you again heartily for this virtual international development program, which is organized by Maharashtra Education Society. And this is the fourth day of this live virtual program. And up till now, we have seen the various aspects as far as the quality and effectivity of the library services increasing is concerned. We have seen the service quality aspect and how we can work out as far as the virtual world is concerned. We have seen DigiQual services. We have also seen how collaboratively we can work more effectively, right, at the global level. That also we have seen in the inaugural session. We have also seen the scholarly communication. How can we raise our scholarly communication? The related matters of marketing of library services and how it impacts directly on our performance, how we have to showcase our talents. That also we have seen from Dr. Nabi. We have seen the robust digital architectural design of the digital library from Dr. Shri. And today is the day when we are going to see many aspects related to the educational policies, as well as the knowledge attitudes and how to effectively use the open access information sources. Because many times what we observe, particularly in the developing countries like India, at many places, the subscribed databases are not there, like Web of Science, Scopus. All these databases are not available at each and every remote place. So open source is the only medium from where you can provide effective or bare minimum services. So what we can do for each and every corner of the rural part of India, by keeping this motto in our mind, we have organized today's third session. The second session is about the knowledge attitude, and first session is about the educational policies. What is the national education policy of India? Not only of the India, but what are the related other national policies as far as other countries are concerned, and what is the government's attitude towards the quality of education and how it will impact on the library science world. That also is very essential. So it is the another aspect as far as the quality is concerned. Now assessment is a very crucial part. We all are aware a bit of it. As far as the organizer of this program is concerned, Maharashtra Education Society's Institute of Management Career Courses is responsible to organize this program. It is a well-versatile institute in the domain of management and computer science since 1983. MES is the parent organization, and the focus of MES is to cultivate the grassroots education. Currently, we are having more than 70 educational branches all over the across Maharashtra state. So pulling out the education thread ahead, we will move towards the educational policy. And we are fortunate today we have Dr. N.V. Dahibate sir as the chairperson of today's session. Dahibate sir is known in the field for more than 40 years, or rather 50 years, I should say. He is a retired principal technical officer from NCL, and he has completed his PhD from Savitribai Phule Pune University under the guidance of Professor Dr. S.K. Patil, former head of Department of Library Science and SPPU Pune. He worked in the special library. As far as NCL is concerned, he is having an expertise in patent handling and patent referencing. He is actively involved in the development of the scientific databases for the users, and very well invited at various places as a chairperson as well as a keynote addresser. The biodata is so long, very vast, but I have cut it down because there is no need for me to say a few more things. We are very well aware as far as Maharashtra or even India is concerned. So over to you, sir. The session is totally under your control now. Over to you.
Thank you, madam. First of all, I welcome all the participants, all the contributors, and all the presenters of this webinar. Today, we are conducting 3 sessions. First session will be and the lecture will be delivered by Dr. Athavale sir. Second will be Dr. Mitul sir, and third will be Dr. Jay Bhatt sir. Today, this session we are conducting from 3 to 7. Everybody will get 1 hour plus 15 minutes for question and answer session. If there will be no question and answer session, then we will shift to the another delegate. Here, I just first of all introduce Dr. Subhash Athavale sir, who is well-known personality in our Maharashtra, as well as all as well as all over India also. At present, Dr. Subhash Athavale is known professional in our library profession, and he is presently working as a librarian in group of CHM colleges, Mumbai, and he has been on the advisory committee of these colleges for successful management and implementation of the different policies. He is also associated with MUKTA, that is Maharashtra University College and Teachers Association, and he is heading post as a joint secretary, which is very responsible post. And during the COVID, he has organized not less than 30 sessions in a sequence on more than different subjects, and very prominent personalities contributed into this and delivered their speeches. And this session or this series of the lectures were very appreciated by everyone, and he has also published the data analytics on this session. If we say something about the Athavale sir, then I will fail some of the things to just introduce him. But he has completed his basic degree in the chemistry side. He is a chemical scientist, and then he turned to the bachelor's degree in library science. He passed it out from the Bhopal, that is Barkatullah University, and recently he has completed his PhD degree from the Librarian University. He has completed in the marketing of library services, and this is at the higher education level. He has highlighted more. Apart from this, he was associated with the Mumbai Vidyapit, SNDT, Women's Vidyapit in Mumbai, as well as various other universities in the Maharashtra, and he is associated as a member of the selection committee as well as board of studies. His best achievements are he has completed many minor research projects of UGC as well as major research project of UGC, and he has submitted the reports which are very useful to the librarian professionals, as well as the information specialists, the policy makers. He has worked in the various disciplines. As far as I know, he is very well settled, and he is a social reformer in our library and information field. He is assisting many problems and issues which faced by the library professionals, and he takes to the higher authorities and try to solve it at his own level with the Mukta Association. He is also elected member of LMC in 2012 to 2017, and CDC, that is from 2019 to 2024. He is also a core committee member of Skill Development Center of KM Kundanani Pharmacy College, Polytechnic, and program under his affiliation, MHRD. He is monitoring for this. He is a nominated member by the Vice Chancellor on various selection committees in Maharashtra state, and I think he is the most busiest person, and today he is available for us for this special cause. Apart from this, he has awarded many, he has been a recipient of many awards from different organizations, and prominent awards today are, he is a outstanding research, his outstanding research paper got medal and in the conference of Mumbai University in 2011. He is elected member of Mumbai University Senate from the Faculty of Arts as a teacher constituency from 2000 to 2009, and still he is active in this position. He is a member nominated by Government of Maharashtra Book Selection Committee for the Public Library from 2017 to 2020, and he is a member for the Board of Studies of LIS in different universities, and he has contributed many technical and research scientific papers in our field, and hope he will be joining for the future session what we are conducting on the special event of national education policy, what we are right now calling as NEP 2020. He will be focusing on this policy as well as some policies which are related to other countries, which are related to education in other countries also, as well as he is taking the review of the previous committees. Very briefly, he will analyze this and how, what is the basic question always we are thinking that what is the role librarians have to play in this NEP 2020. And I think this lecture will be very useful, which will be delivered shortly by Dr. Athavale sir. Dr. Athavale sir, you can continue your session.
Thank you very much, Dr. Daivate sir, my guru, and it is really a great occasion for me that I could get the blessings right in the beginning from my guru, and before starting this session. My thanks are also due to Dr. S.K. Patil sir, Dr. Deshpande sir, Director IMCC, Professor Dr. Meenal Oak, Librarian of IMCC, for giving me this opportunity to present before you on National Education Policy 2020, role of library professionals. The topic decided is library services in the virtual world, quality and effective information delivery. I think the topic today for me at National Education Policy 2020 is well going with the theme of this online webinar. And I think my presentation would be basically on that, and you all will take the insight of what National Education Policy is. Please go to next slide. What National Education Policy of India and other countries, I'll be doing that, a little bit of explanation. Then historical developments, a look back. Then NEP structure, that how National Education Policy has been structured. Then vision of the policy. Then what are the highlights of National Education Policy 2020? Higher education and role of librarian, which is the main core topic for me today. But before that, I think it is necessary to speak about what is the policy, what is the role, how it has been designed, what is the history of it. So I'll be covering that. And then I'll be placing before you a few of my observations, and then I'll conclude with the topic. As in the beginning, it was told to me that the time given is 1 hour. So I'll try to finish up by 4:15 so that the question answer session can continue, and then the next speaker is also there. So I think we'll be able to finish well within the time. The very important part of national education policy and the comparison of other countries, then purpose and role of the education policies, and what is the specific areas where national education policy is depending on the librarians. That part we are going to speak, and I think that would be more useful for our professionals. First of all, question comes to our mind that why education policies are required. Please go to next slide. Why education policies are required? If we look at the first and foremost, when I compared while doing the study of this particular topic, and when I have compared with the national education policy of the other countries, then one common factor which I have observed is the first and foremost is nation building, quality education, national education policies, and changing educational landscape. So these are the four major areas where every national policy is working around. Now, high quality education is the best part, the main and core area of any of the national education policy. And unlike all other countries' education policy, will find that high quality education has got prime importance in our national education policy 2020. Then the second part is quality education. This also has got very important part and role, and very important part is national development. Like, not giving high quality education is not only going to serve purpose, but the ultimate aim, the ultimate goal of the policy, that it should develop our nation, so that what we say, our former president Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam has very rightly said that we want to see India as a superpower by 2020. So what that superpower is, that cannot be achieved without the national development. Then different skill sets, which is very important aspects. Whenever the education policy is being formulated, the skill education is equally important, because when there was a study made, it was observed that where we are lacking behind is the skill set, and if we will not look towards it, then it is not going to serve the purpose. And rightly, in the National Education Policy 2020, very good emphasis has been given to skill education and facilitate learning. So we all are aware that how facilities can be provided in the learning system, how students should be motivated, what additional facilities they should be provided, how education should be made flexible to them. So all such kind of things have been incorporated, and accordingly the national education policy has been designed. Go to next slide, please. If we look to the policy, how it has been developed after independence, first and foremost is University Education Commission in 1948. So right from the independence, the policy or the country has started looking to the education. It is very important that if we'll not look to the education, then it will be difficult to grow, to develop, and to reach to that superpower. And so right from the independence, university education, that is first and foremost, it was University Education Commission. It was not National Education Policy, but it was university education. After that, we all are aware that Kothari Commission in 1964 under the chairmanship of Dr. D.S. Kothari, and this particular Kothari Commission was very well remembered by all of us, because it was the first and foremost where the policy, where the formation of 10 plus 2 plus 3, it has been suggested. The education format which we follow till now is 10 plus 2 plus 3, which has been suggested by Kothari Commission. Then a very special aspect, that to promote social justice, Kothari Commission has given some suggestions that education to backward classes, education to tribal people, physically and mentally handicapped children. So all such things have been included in the Kothari Commission. They are the few highlights of Kothari Commission, and accordingly that since 1964 that has been followed. And after that, in 1986, the first time national education policy has come into existence that we all are aware. And in this also, this particular policy has come in the time of our Prime Minister Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, and this policy is called as this policy has got special emphasis on the removal of disparities and bringing equalities in the education opportunity. It is very big statement. Removing the disparity and bringing the equality in the education, I think, was a very good step, bringing it in the education policy, because of which education has become possible for women, for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and all the communities of India. Moving further, after 34 years, National Education Policy 2020 has come in existence, and Dr. Kasturi Rangan, under the chairmanship of Kasturi Rangan, this particular policy have come into existence. We all are aware that before this, the chairman was there, and it was well decided that how this policy can be taken up. The name of TSR Subramaniam, who was the earlier chairman, and he has submitted his report in 2016. And after that, Dr. Kasturi Rangan has taken over, and in 19 he has submitted his draft report, which is on the verge of its implementation. If you look at 2020 also, then there are some special features, that is increase the gross enrollment ratio in higher education, including vocational education. So gross enrollment ratio has been taught, as you all are aware that we are into the system of education to all. There is an act that the education to all is being promoted. RT, right to education, has come up. But then also the gross enrollment ratio, why this policy is talking, because it is observed that currently the gross enrollment ratio is 26.3%, and the objective has been decided till 2035 that this gross enrollment ratio should cross 50%, and around 3.5 crores of the seats will be added to the higher education, and education shall be promoted through this the NEP 2020. So if you look at in all development from 1948, then Kothari Commission, then the National Education Policy under the leadership of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, and now under the leadership of our present Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And I still remember that when it was started, that time Smriti Irani was HRD minister, and that time it was a talk of town that new national education policy is coming, and we all need to contribute. I think since then this policy have started, and we all are talking about it. And now recently what information I have gathered is now it will be implemented very soon. When I was looking to the historical part of it, I could find that David Thomas Bowen, he has written in his PhD thesis that Peter Robb, he has claimed that the Britishers, they have given, next slide please, the Britishers, they have supported Indianization of education, education in Indian languages, and because of which the knowledge which is available can be provided effectively to them, and that can be used in the development of India. So that was the next slide please. That was the basic part, and I could get the reference from there. And this particular thesis is available online, and this reference is also available. In 1935, Thomas Macaulay, the first law member, has suggested that Western education model should be adopted. I do not know whether that was right or wrong, but it has been suggested. Then education was deep rooted since British colonial period and in the era of East India Company. So though we say that after independence since 1948, the education policy has started, but it has been deep-rooted when we were under the British rule, British government, and since then the policies are continued and the education patterns are coming up. In present policy document, what is seen is rightly said by Mr. David Bowen, that Indianization of education, that the education is available in Indian languages, and same thing we find that Indianization of education in National Education Policy 2020 in the form of Gurukul schools and education in mother tongue. In the actual vision of the 2020, there you'll find that this mother tongue education has been given lot of prominence, and whatever has been suggested that we'll discuss further. When I was comparing the education policy with different nations, I could observe that Japan, next slide please, Japan, the education policy, very fantastically they have given that motivation to learn and apply learning to life. I think in any education policy, if this kind of punchlines are there, that motivation to learn, unlike our RT, right to education, here it has been said that motivation to learn and apply learning to life. So learning only is not sufficient if unless and until we apply it for our livelihood. Then acquisition of knowledge and technical skills. So again, only acquisition of knowledge and only acquisition of information is not sufficient unless and until it has been converted into skill and some manufacturing or some new ideas. If we are not bringing out of it, then that education is not proper. Similarly, skills to think, make judgments, and express on oneself. So skill to think, again, it is very important, where I think the Japanese people, I have heard once that Japanese people, after Hiroshima and Nagasaki attack in the Second World War, the entire country has been ruined. But then they have been developed, they have come up like anything, and that has only become possible because of the adoption of skill, adoption of knowledge to skill, and motivation to learn. I think these are the three punchlines which I could find, and I thought I should share with all of you, because this is the kind of education policy which is covered in Japan. Similarly, now when I compare with it, National Education Policy 2020, so here also more emphasis is on education, education in mother tongue and skill education, and further liberal education. So all these things have been incorporated in our National Education Policy 2020. I think that will definitely support for further development and grow knowledge in our country also. Now, how is the structure of National Education Policy? If I look at, then it has been divided into 4 parts. The first part is about school education. The second part is about higher education. Third part is about other key areas of key areas, and the fourth part is making it happen. Now, this particular school education, higher education, then the key areas, and making it happen. That making it happen, we are at that stage, and I think for the implementation, proper implementation, that making happen part is being incorporated. Now, if you look at the vision of the National Education Policy, the vision is very clear: to instill among the learners a deep-rooted pride in being Indian. So, from basic part of it, it should be deep-rooted that I am Indian, not only in thoughts but also in spirit. I should not be thinking that I'm Indian, but spiritually also, I should think that I'm Indian. Intellect, depths of all well to develop knowledge, skills, values, and depositions that support responsible, committed to human right, responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development, and leaving the global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. If I'll say that the vision is very clear, that it is talking about deep-rooted Indianization, then intellect, then the development of knowledge, development of skill, development of values, deposition that support the responsible, committed citizen, a right human being, and finally, we also talk about global well-being. We always say that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is also appearing in global well-being, and further it has been expanded that reflecting truly global citizen. So we are not sticking to only India and Indianization, but we are also trying liberalizing ourselves to global citizen and global India, making it truly that we always think about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So this is the basic vision of the national education policy, and I think if we look at the highlights of it, then definitely they are reflecting in the education policy also. Now, schooling starting from 3 years onwards. So earlier also it was from 3 years, but the pattern was like in the Kothari Commission, we have seen that it was 10 plus 2 plus 3. But now the pattern which is suggested is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So what is the benefit? It has been said, it has been studied that the mental development of a child starts right at the early age. And so that age has been decided that till standard 3, what is this 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 is first 2 years of the primary education that he will complete. Then third, fourth and fifth standard, that is the first part of that is plus 3. Then seventh, eighth, sixth, seventh and eighth, that is second plus 3. Then 9, 10, 11, 12 is the last 4 part. So earlier now we are graduate, our students are getting higher degree 10th and 12th. So I think the pattern will come where this 10th and 12 will go vanish and we'll be into 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 pattern. Then inclusion of vocational education is also a highlight, because till this policy, the vocational education was not given the importance, and it was not been discussed. But now this vocational education has been discussed in the policy document itself. Then multidisciplinary and holistic education. This multidisciplinary is very important, looking at the different subjects, different knowledge components which are coming up, growing up. And so this multidisciplinary has got a wide range and wide importance, and which has been included in the policy document. Holistic education, this is again that it is going on the similar part, that education should be all around development, where complete development. And when I was looking through the education policies of other countries, there also I could notice that holistic education, holistic approach is been registered in each and every education policy of other countries also. Then very important part in this education policy, they have suggested that UGC will be replaced by NHERA, that is National Higher Education Regulatory Authority. What earlier UGC is doing, that is we all are aware that whatever higher education institutes are there, they are governed, they are come under the University Grants Commission. But now the policy says that it should be replaced by National Higher Education Regulatory Authority, where they are planning to take everything. We have UGC, we have AICTE, we have Law Bar Council, we have Architectural Council, we have Pharmacy Council. So everything will come under one umbrella. That is the idea. And National Higher Education Policy Regulatory Authority will take care of it, and all will come under one umbrella. Then establishment of National Research Foundation. I think this is a very welcome step which has been suggested, which has been highlighted in the present national policy document 2020 that research has been given prominent importance. Now, establishing a national research foundation, so to develop research in the country, I think that national research foundation is very important. If you look at the document, then they have specified that what specific role national research foundation will have to take, and how research culture can be developed, and what is the importance of that when we see that overall development of the country and nation building, which we have seen right in the policy document. Then critical thinking, ethics, and constitutional values, if we'll see now, it is not only that we are not sticking only to the bookish value, but we are also making our students, our next generation, to think critically, ethically, and constitutional values also the policy want to inculcate in the coming generation. Then promoting multilingual and the power of the language. Multilingual, I think it is very important, and we all know that India has got a rich culture, and every part has different language. If we'll travel 10 kilometers, then the language changes. Similarly, this particular point, we want to take it as an advantage part, and we want to develop the knowledge in that languages, so that implementation of this policy can happen nicely. Open and distance learning also will be covered under NAC. Up till now, National Assessment and Accreditation Council is looking after only the higher education institutions. For management institutions or engineering institutions, there is a National Bureau of NBD, which is there. So I think NAC is going to be covered, NAC will be implemented to all over, and it will be covering distance education as well. Next slide, please. Few of the highlights, that is focus on regular formative assessment of learning. So this regular formatting assessment has got very important role, because what we have seen, though we have entered into the semester system, then also the examinations are conducted maybe half yearly or yearly sometimes. But this regular interval assessment shall help to see how the child is developing, whether he is achieving something, whether he is learning something, or whether he is gaining something, to understand that this particular part shall play a very important vital role. Extensive use of technology, this also is a very important part, because we all are aware that during the pandemic time, what we are seeing, that today also we are meeting virtually, and how this is possible, this is becoming possible, is due to the technology, and the policy suggests that the extensive use of technology should be made. We have seen a lot of times that even university meetings, then board of studies meetings, when we go personally, that time we spend a lot of time in traveling, a lot of time discussing on other part of it. But then if we'll make use of technology, and sometimes if we'll meet online and if we'll exchange the ideas, I think that has been expected by the policy. Then spatial preference for MOOC. MOOC, we all are aware that massive open massive open online courses, and the spatial preference has been suggested in the policy document for that. Then system will be modified to type 1, type 2, type 3. What is this type 1, type 2, type 3? Is they have divided the colleges and the universities into these three parts, that pure education, then special education, and research education. That is very superficial part I'm taking, because I want to cover many points. So this is the three types of categories which have been made, and the education has been made possible through these three types. Then synergy in curriculum across the levels of education. So the curriculum also, they're trying to, that there should be synergy in the curriculum. That part is also taken care of. Then project funding for private institutions. I think this is very welcome step suggested in the national document, that up till now, only the institutions who are getting funding from the government, that is aided institutions, they used to get the grants. But the policy document suggests that project funding for private institutions also should be provided. I think this is a very welcome step, and all those teachers or all those professionals who are working in the private unaided institutions, they will also get this opportunity, and they'll also get funding for doing some projects which will be definitely ultimately useful for nation building and enhancing becoming India superpower. Light but tight regulatory framework. This is again the term light but tight. This particular term has been used in the policy document, that though it look like it is not well, and so it is not so on a lighter note, or a lighter note, this policy. But if you look at the total document, this particular infrastructure which has been suggested is that is very collaborative, that is very inclusive, and because of which this new policy shall be very much useful from the youngsters point of view, for the students who are going to come for the education now. Then continuous review. This is again a very important feature, that policy document suggests that it should not be one time. Review of the policy should be taken again and again. If we look at the history, 1948, then 1964, then 1986, and then in NEP 2020. So the development of the national education policy was happening maybe at 30-40 years. Presently also, after 34 years, this particular policy has come up. If you look at the earlier policy, 1986, the implementation, though it has come in existence in 1986, but the actual implementation started in 1992 with some amendments. Similarly, here also now the policy document has come in 2020. So now it is a proper time. The policy document suggests that after 2020, no new affiliated colleges should be provided. But since the implementation has not started yet properly, so this year also we will see that few colleges will be added to all the universities in Maharashtra, at least I can say, because the process recently has happened of enrolling new colleges. The proposal had come before the management council, so new colleges shall be added this year also. So the policy document suggests that after 2020, no new affiliated colleges should come. So I think this continuous review of the policy is very important, and if that has been taken, then it will help to incorporate the multidisciplinary approach, which is again been suggested by the policy document, to incorporate that and to uplift the syllabi accordingly. Then comprehensive funding for outstanding research. This is very important feature. Up till now, if you have seen that many of us might have undertaken major research project, minor research project, there was a funding, but there was no authority who are assessing those projects. There was no authority who are finding out the importance, the utility of those projects. But now the policy document suggests that this funding, where the funding has been made, and if the research is outstanding, then such funding should be promoted further. So this is again a welcome step. Then introduction of liberal arts is again a welcome step, where now earlier this was not there, but this policy document very proudly introduces that liberal arts in the policy document itself. Then suitable infrastructure for lifelong learning. We say that there is a department of lifelong learning in Mumbai University, and I think it should be there in the all the universities where students get the opportunity to not only learn the curriculum, but also the lifestyle, life skill, livelihood, how he should be. So this continuous lifelong learning is being incorporated, and how that can be done is being discussed in the policy document. Education is public service. This is again a very important part. It should not be stick to only higher class or higher middle class or lower middle class. This education should be made available to all the public. And as we are aware, I'll again say about RT, right to education. but the ratio of the conversion was not there up till now. So this particular inclusion of this, that education reach to the public, I think this is going to be this will prove to be a milestone when implementation of this policy will start. Then strong, vibrant public education system is also one of the very important feature. Strong, vibrant public education system is also a very vibrant, characteristic of this national education policy. And I think when we'll start the implementation of it, that vibrancy will be able to see when we learn skills, when we learn, the moral values, and when we'll start building up our nation. I think everybody will come to know the strength of this policy. Go to next slide, please. Then universal access to education at all levels. Now, this again is a very important feature of the policy document, that universal access. It is not talking again to any particular caste, creed, or anything. Universal access to the education at all levels. Like, it is not again said that the post graduation should be done by this particular type of a student, or graduation should be done by this particular type of a student, or schooling or entering into school should be this kind of a student. No, it should be universal access to the education. This has been suggested by the policy document. Then the second very important is curtailing the dropout rates. Now, if we'll see that in Mofussil area, where a student has to go to his field for, for agriculture purpose or some other purpose, or to earn something for his family. So the ratio, the dropout ratio is seen very much in the primary education. So if we'll apply this, and if proper funding is provided, proper education has been reaching to the grassroots level, then the policy document says that we can curtail the dropout rates. And I think again, this will be a welcome step, and proper implementation of RT can take place because of this. Then holistic development of the learner. We have seen that, as I have said earlier also, that holistic development is being taught by everybody. And if you look at the policy document entirely, this part is covered so many times, that how the holistic development can take place of a child. And unlike the other nations also, if you look, so holistic development is talked at length. Similarly, here also the emphasis has been given to the holistic education also. Curriculum, critical thinking, and essential learning. So enhancing essential learning has been taken care of. It has been given prominence. And critical thinking, it should not be only, like a classroom where we come, we sit, we attend lecture and go. But it has been suggested that after doing that, a child should be promoted to critically think and give his observations. Though it is not necessary that a lot of curriculum should be, completed in one particular year, and then the child should be prepared for 10th, 12th, and like that. But if at all you reduce, but then critical thinking power should be enhanced. That is the key idea of the highlight of this education policy. Experimental learning. Now, unlike as I was talking about the skill education, so practical experience of how it happens is also given prominence in the education policy. And so experimental learning has been highlighted in the entire document. Empower students through flexibility and the courses choice. This particular point in the policy document has been largely discussed and deliberated, because when we talk about the courses choice and the flexibility, then on the other hand, the job of the teacher comes in danger. But when we have discussed with so many people, those who were there in the formation of this national education policy, that time it has been explained to us that how it will not, but it will give, more jobs can be created, Because if, for example, here, choice-based credit system is being taught. If a student who is taking engineering as a core subject, and if want to do music along with that, then that student should be given that opportunity. So in an engineering college, you need to have a teacher who is going to teach music also. So such kind of opportunity, if we're getting, that is the choice-based education system, if we'll implement, and the policy document is very much firm on implementation of choice-based, because what they say that education should not be teachers-based, it should be the student-based. Student should get the opportunity. Student should learn what he or she wants to, and accordingly, the policy has been designed. Curricular integration and essential subject skills and capacities. So I think skill I have spoken. Then essential subjects also, that is again coming to the part of choice based, and so skill education, capacity building, choice based, then experimental learning, all of them have been occupied a lot of space in this policy document. And according to me, I have tried maximum out of it, and I think they are the key points, they are the highlights of the National Education Policy 2020. Now, what is the next? NEP school and higher education. If you look at, the more emphasis in the policy document is been given to school education. Everywhere it is said that school education should be like this, school education should be like that. Universalization of education, which the main purpose of the policy is, then increasing the gross enrollment ratio that we have already discussed, and the policy document has set a target till 2035, the gross enrollment ratio should reach to 50%. Then how to achieve that? The policy document suggests enough reading material, new reading material, convenient access to resources, and availability of resources. So these are the main key areas, main 4 areas which have been emphasized, and school libraries, then the major part that we see that library program administrator, an information specialist. So all these things, the policy document have very widely discussed. And I think if you look at that, and if we'll try to, when it will come really to the implementation stage, I think it is an ambitious step which the Education Policy 2020 is going to take. And I think that is going to change or transform the Indian education system totally. So it is a welcome step. Next slide, please. Now, in this, there are few focused elements, that is National Curriculum Framework for school education. As I was talking, that school education has been given prime importance. So National Curriculum Framework for school education, this has been discussed widely in the policy document. Then national textbook with local current, local content and flavor. So I think when we have talked about the text, the information and the translation and the curriculum in the local languages, I think we have seen this. And the textbooks which are available, if they are made available in the local language, I think that would be the best part. That is the information seekers are going to get information in their mother tongue. Again, that is the main core area of the highlight of the education policy, that the education should be provided till the schooling age in the mother tongue to that particular child. I have read that when I was talking about Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki were ruined completely. But why these people could come up, that one reason is because they have made the knowledge available in their mother tongue. Along with the skilling, along with the promotion, everything, what they have done, the knowledge was made universal, and that was brought into the mother tongue, and because of which Japanese people could grow, and they could do, this technologically upliftment very easily, though it was being completely ruined. Transforming assessment for student development. assessment and development, we have seen already that how it is important, regular assessment, how it will help to enhance, to grow the student. Then support for gifted students, student with special talents. Now here it is very important that the education policy is discussing about gifted students, the students with some disabilities. They are also thinking and how they can be brought into the mainstream of education. The policy document has taken care for that also. NHQF, that is National Higher Education, National Higher Education Qualification Framework, is the main core area of one of the main core area of this national education policy. Universalization of education and holistic approach of the education that we have already discussed into. Now, up till now, what we have seen, the policy document, what is the structure of the document, then what are the highlights of the education policy, and now slowly we'll go further that what is the role of library professionals in the national education policy. When I was going through, initially I thought that there is nothing for library in the national education policy. But when I have gone deep into it, I could find out that provision of enough and new reading material is the part of national education policy. Now, if we look at it, provision of new reading material. Now, friend librarians will say that how we are connected to it, how we can provide the new reading material. Being the professionals, we are always in touch that what is coming new, what are the book reviews which are coming. So we are the people, we are the professionals who are always looking towards it. We are looking towards the goal of our institution and what is the material available in the market and how we can procure. So I think that provision of new reading material implies that role of librarian, that we always should look for what is the reading material available, looking at our particular point of view, our education institute or our institute is concerned, and accordingly we should try to procure. Then convenient access and availability of resources. Again, here the role of librarian is there, that if we will try to provide the access very easily to the knowledge which is available or the resources which are available. I think here I could see that though Dr. S.R. Ranganathan is not, the name of Dr. S.R. Ranganathan is not appearing in the policy document as such, but the total thing which has been covered is based on 5 principles, 5 laws of library science. Conveniently access of availability of the resources, meaning a researcher or the seeker of the information, if he or she thinks that I need the information, and if we provide that to information seeker, then we are definitely saving the time of that information seeker. So the principle, the law of library science is very well being applied to this. Again, when we talk about convenient access, so again, every book its reader and every reader its book. That principle, that law is also become applicable here. And we see that in provision of enough and new reading material, there also we have seen that library is a growing organism. So to provide enough access, to provide enough books, we need to enhance on our collection. So the principles, the laws of library science have been well taken, well covered here. Then the extraordinary, we have to do proactive, extraordinary librarian's role. See, when we go through the policy document, we will be able to find several such areas where the word librarian is not mentioned. But the expectation of the policy, if we look at, then they only can be fulfilled by the librarian and the library professionals. No other person can fulfill that. And to fulfill that, we require a skilled person who is none other than the librarian. But the policy document suggests that there should be a proactive role. It should not be that if we want to make the curriculum, then what is our role in that? let the faculty sit together and decide. We need not be putting ourselves into that, why we should increase our work. I still remember when I used to attend lectures of Professor Tikekar. That time he used to always say one story. That story was one of his students. He came to Professor Tikekar once, and he said, "Sir, I got the job, and now I have become librarian, and I am very happy." So Tikekar sir started thinking that why the student have come and why he's saying he is happy. So he further added that, "Sir, I've got the appointment letter, but there is no place for library. There is no budget for library. There are no books. I have to go daily to my office. I have to sit there and I have to come back. So no work. So I'm very happy." So this was the story which was given by Professor Tikekar, and now this policy document is talking about the proactive role. So proactive means if at all we feel that the role of librarian is not there, but we need to find out how we can become bridge between the information sources and the faculty members, and how best we can provide them, or how we can become the bridge between the books and the information seekers, and how proactively we should be in a position to provide them. Then very important feature of this national education policy is national book promotion policy. If you look at this, then this national book promotion policy is again talking about making an availability of books, accessibility of books, building of culture, then ICT equipped schools, so many things. Education in villages, library will be strengthened in the higher education system, then use of public library spaces for adult education, then deserve that one very important part is being talked about, that is CPD, that is continuing professional development. So it has been said that when we have a professional staff in the library, it should not happen that they are coming and sitting, but there should be continuous development of that staff members also, and this policy document is taking care of that also. Library is a program administrator, again that is a very common feature, and I think that is also has got good emphasis. And we all know that how librarians, if we become proactive, then what role we can play as an administrator, program administrator also. Then next slide, please. In a policy document, in section 2.8, as we have said, that enjoyable, that national education policy framework which we have talked about, enjoyable and inspirational books, then high quality translation. I feel this is very important, that high quality translation, as the policy is very ambitious is giving the education in mother tongue. So the high quality translators will have a big role to play when this policy will come to real implementation stage. And I think the librarian also will have to play a vital role, because he or she will have to find out what are the books available which are there in the syllabus, or which are published in other languages, and they are to be translated in the language which their student understand, or they're in their mother tongue. So this study also the librarian will have to do, and if that will happen, then definitely high quality translation work shall be made available. Then excessive availability of information and information seekers, I think we have covered that point. Then focus digital libraries, particularly in villages. I think this is a very important part, that up till now we have not talked about even a book club or a mobile library in the villages. Though in some villages this practice has been followed. There are some WhatsApp messages which are coming, and they are showing how a person is going to villages and distributing books and making their lives creative. So similarly, now the education policy is taking care of digital libraries. So through the infrastructural development, through the technological development, these villages have to be connected, and the libraries and the book clubs needs to be started there. Then the promotion of the reading material is also expected, widespread of the reading material. Again, it is the role of the librarian comes, and how the books can be widely made available, and how promotion of books, how we can act as a bridge between the book and the reader is definitely is being taken care of in the policy document. Then formulation of national book promotion policy we have discussed already. Then ensure the availability and accessibility, quality, and readership for books across the geographies. I think this again is the part which from the laws of library science, that save the time of the reader. Every book is reader, every reader is book. Library is a growing organism. All these things has been covered in this particular point, and I think a good combination of when the policy document, I do not know that though there was no special mention about Dr. Ranganathan, but all the principles, all the laws of library science have been taken very well care of. Go to next slide, please. Here, as I was talking about choice-based education, so you will see the inclusion of art, music, science, sports, languages, and vocational subjects, etc., in the policy document. So you will definitely require the specialist of all these subjects to teach this, and to give the information to all these teachers or all these students. You need to have proper acquisition of those particular resources, and to provide them. The second part is acquiring resources for science lab, laboratory, skill labs, playground, sports. So if you'll see that holistic word which has come, so overall development, all-round development of a child is expected, and to do that, role of librarian becomes key. If librarian is well aware that what I can do for a child, how I can provide information about sports or everything to him, I think that particular role, proactive role, librarian is expected here to play, and then only this policy document can, at the time of implementation, this can be useful, and proper implementation is possible with this. Now, go to the next slide, please. Policy document in 2.2, which says current creation, digital repository, and dissemination. Again, here the role of librarian becomes very important, as content creation. Though you will feel that content creation, how I am responsible, but provide information for creating the content is a job of librarian. Digital repository, again, a job of librarian is there. And dissemination, it is our key area, that if we'll acquire the knowledge, if we'll take it, and if we'll disseminate it in a proper function when it is required, then I think that only is going to help for proper implementation. Reliable backup mechanism for disseminating e-content, that this is again a dissemination of information. Then we talk about a very important part is reading, writing, speaking, counting. This is especially for school children. So to develop those skills, so it is expected in the policy document that reading skills, writing skills should be inculcated right from the school age. So when a student is going to come in the higher education, that time definitely he or she will be enriched with reading, writing skills, and that child will be aware of that what to read and what not to read, which is going to the focused reading is possible, and accordingly the library professionals will need have to develop the collection accordingly. Then it talks about the robust system. I think we have talked about it, but the only very important part is individualizing what every individual student is learning. That track also can be possible, because we know that when the student come to library and what kind of books he is issuing and what he is reading, so that track we can keep, and overall track should be kept. If there is a proper coordination between library and the faculty members, then I think this is very well possible. Librarians and library professional lot of scope to work to carry out in information literacy, CAS and SDI services. I think I have spoken on CAS also, then information literacy and selective dissemination of information, which is going to save time of the reader. Library professionals can put efforts to widespread and to fulfill the mission of this by applying statistical tools, by managing skills, and it can be measured that how implementation of this policy is taking place. I think that also is possible if librarian is proactive and taking out the gist of this policy document. If librarian starts acting, I think it is only possible if librarian become proactive, then only the proper implementation of this policy can take place. Further, next slide please. In policy document 13.4, faculty will be given freedom. Now, why I have taken this, that though it is related to faculty, but then to prepare the curriculum, faculty will have to depend on the library and the information which will provide. Then to prepare the proper framework, we need to provide the information. Then textbook selection, reading material selection. I think the acquisition policy which we have, that has to be strengthened, and accordingly we should decide that what is to be taken, which is very important, which is current subject, and accordingly if we'll try and we will strengthen our acquisition policy, definitely that is going to help, and that will definitely give freedom to the faculty members. Continuous assignment and assessment, I think I have spoken on that assignments and assessment, that will be very helpful to find out how the child is growing and whether he is developing, or if a slow learner is there, then what care a faculty member needs to take, that decision also can be taken. Then empowering the faculty to conduct innovative teaching and research. This research part is very important. Innovative teaching, I think nowadays we have started that, but then faculty should be empowered for research also. So right from 9, 10, 11, 12, that research component should be inculcated in the students, and how that can happen, how research is taking place, that information also needs to be passed on. And again, I think the role of librarian becomes very important. Then to be a key monitor, then truly outstanding and creative work. I think all this empowering to the faculty members have been done, and they will definitely take advantage of this. And we librarians will definitely provide the suitable and reliable information to them for suitable and uplift curriculum development for them. The policy document in 21.9, it is talking about the inclusion of reading habits, that is again availability and accessibility of books. So this is very important. We all are aware that there is Making India Read. There's a YouTube channel by Mr. Deshmukh, Making India Read. I think this particular thing is very well expected, and the policy document suggests that reading habits should be inculcated right from the school age. And how that can be made possible through, now we have YouTube channels, we can read for them, we can give selective books for them, we can provide good information, the latest information, that is through current awareness, we can give them that. And if we'll provide that, I think that inculcating of reading habits can become very easy. And that is the main core area of the policy document. Then school, college, universities and public libraries should be strengthened and modernized to ensure that adequate supply of books. So now I think in future, no school, college, university, library there shall be a scarcity of funds, and the government or the policy document itself will say how the funding can be done for adequate supply of books, and how they can be made available to the information seekers or the students. Next slide, please. Policy document further is giving some importance to central and state government officials also, that books are to be made accessible, affordable to all set of the society, socially, economically diverse areas, and to all rural and remote areas also, to improve quality and attractiveness of books. I think this is very important feature which the policy document have suggested, that we, being librarian, also should play a key role, that why the book should be attractive. We have always have seen, if some particular book comes to us where the design, the cover page, if it is not proper, then we dislike that, and we don't we don't like to open such book. Or if the reading area, that the space between two lines, if it is not properly designed, or if it is not properly kept, then also that books become very clumsy, and we feel to keep that book away. So the designing part also is being taken care of. Then enhance online accessibility of the library books. Presently in the pandemic situation, we have seen that there was a lot of scarcity, and the online books were not there. So everybody was asking on WhatsApp groups whether this particular book are there or not. And if one gets it, then it used to be circulated. So this online accessibility of the books is a policy document is taking care of. Then adequate library staff for vibrant libraries. I think this is very important feature which the policy document has thought of, that adequate library staff. Now, if you look at the libraries are always, librarians are always complaining that we have so many students and we have very less staff. But if we'll go properly, if we'll find out that the staffing pattern, it has been given proper weightage, but the colleges and the schools, they are not going by that staffing pattern, and somehow the librarian, the alone person, have to keep quiet and have to adjust with 1 or 2 persons which he get. But ultimately, that affects to the services of the library, which is expected in this.
Yogesh?
It has been muted. Okay. Then making wide available material in Indian languages, I think we have spoken. Then children's libraries and the mobile libraries is also taken care of. That especially since the policy document says that reading learning habits have to be inculcated right from the school age, so that children's books have been given more importance, and establishing social book clubs across India and across subjects. That is also a key area of this policy document. I think if we go by it, then it will not be a difficult task for all of us, to properly implement this national education policy, and the role of librarian becomes very important. I have a few observations to libraries and librarians. Yeah, sir, I'll stop in 2-3 minutes. I'll give go fast. That libraries and librarians should look for enough and new reading material, convenient access and accessibility of resources. Then the teacher's role that we have already discussed. Then information in mother tongue and skill education, that also we have discussed. And I think the best part is, if we look at, then for smooth implementation, the librarians need to take care of all of this. And to conclude, I'll say the approach of the library and the librarian should be multidisciplinary. Role of the librarians and the library professionals in the NEP 2020 is expected to be multidisciplinary. He should be proactive. Need for proper interpretation, and if we'll interpret that how we are related to the new national education policy, I think that is going to help. Then library education, the syllabus has to be now framed as per the need which has been suggested in national education policy. Then LIS professional, lot of initiative and involvement and interpretation is required by librarians. Proactive library services, and I think if all of us follow that, all we library professionals follow that, then it will be easy for us to really uplift the national education policy. I thank you for giving patient hearing. Before that, I'll just try to mention few names. I would like to mention here name of Professor Aniruddha Deshpande, who is from Pune, and who was there very actively involved while this policy document was making. And I still remember that I could get the opportunity to be a part of it. And while giving the suggestions to this, we have submitted to Professor Aniruddha Deshpande and Dr. Anil Kulkarni from Pune. He was very well there. And I think because of which I could get the opportunity to participate in the discussion of how this national education policy and how this entire stream has been coined and defined. I take this opportunity to thank Director Deshpande sir of IMCC and management of IMCC, Dr. Daivate sir, Chairman, Dr. S.K. Patil, and all the delegates, all the participants for attending this, though I have, I think, exceeded 10 minutes more. So I really sorry for that. I take this opportunity to thank Professor Dr. Meenal Oak for giving this opportunity and the support staff, Mr. Mukul and Mr. Yogesh, because we have been interacting when we have in the pandemic, as Dr. Daivate has mentioned, that in the pandemic we have conducted a lot of webinars, and that time one of the webinar we have conducted along with IMCC. So they were interacting with us. So thank you very much to all of them. Yesterday when I was listening to Dr. Nabi, that time he has praised Professor Dr. Meenal Oak, and he said that because of her this webinar could become possible. I'll go one step further and I'll say Meenal hai to mumkin hai, which she had made it possible through this 5 days online webinar. Thank you very much, sir.
It's a very good
Any questions? I'm there too.
It's a very good presentation, very analyze the policy of NEP. In detail, you have discussed all the points. And what we see that next speaker is already